Hey guys, today we're going to do part 1 of the distributive property. So what we're going to do is we're just going to learn the basics of how to use the distributive property in these problems. Yes, it will seem like there's an easier solution, but we want to start with the basics, the very basic problems, because we'll use these skills that we're doing now that seem so redundant, and we will apply them to harder problems, and we'll be like, yes, I am so glad I learned how to do this. It makes it easier. So like I said, this video is just going to be like the level 1 of the distributive property, and then there will be another video where we'll take it up a notch and we'll add variables in. So let's get started on a couple examples. For my first example, I have 3 on the outside of a pair of parentheses that are holding 2 plus 1. When the 3 is on the outside of parentheses, when it's right next to it, hugging it, it means multiplication. So we know how to solve this problem using order of operations. We do what's in the parentheses first, then we take on what's on the outside. But today, I want you to use the distributive property to solve this problem. So here is the first step that I do. I'm going to distribute the outside number to everything on the inside, all the terms. So when I distribute, I like to draw a little arch with an arrow on it. So I'm going to distribute the 3 to the 2. Then I'm going to take the 3 and distribute it to the 1. So I've created these little arches. Now, on my arches, what I really like to do, and I advise you to do, is put an X on each one. This is to remind you that when we distribute, we use multiplication, because remember I said this 3 is being multiplied right here. There's a multiplication happening between the 3 and everything that's in the parentheses. So now I'm just going to follow my arches. I'm going to follow the first one, this little baby one. So I'm going to take 3 times 2. I followed my arch. I saw that we're multiplying. So 3 times 2 is my first arch. I'm going to bring down the addition sign that's in the parentheses. Now I'm going to follow my second arch. 3 times 1. So I'm going to write 3 times 1. And now I solve this problem using order of operations. 3 times 2 gives me 6. Bring down my addition sign. 3 times 1 gives me 3. 6 plus 3 gives me 9. 9 is the answer to this problem. Here is example number 2. I have 6 times the 4 plus 2 that's in parentheses. Again, we can solve this using order of operations, but I want you to solve it using the distributive property so we can practice using the distributive property so it's easier when we have harder problems that contain variables. So step number 1, draw your arches so we can distribute the outside number 6 to all the terms on the inside. So I'm going to distribute 6 to the 4, and I'm going to distribute 6 to the 2. Now I'm going to put an X on both of my arches to remind myself that when I distribute, I'm going to use multiplication. So the first thing, I'm going to follow my first arch. It says 6 times 4. So I'm going to write down 6 times 4. Bring down my plus sign. Sometimes it will be a subtraction sign. Just make sure you pay close attention to that. Then I'm going to follow my second arch, which says 6 times 2. Right, 6 times 2. And now I'm going to follow order of operations and simplify this expression. 6 times 4 gives me 24. Plus 6 times 2 gives me 12. This gives me a total of 36 for my answer. There's the basics of how to use the distributive property. Remember, you're distributing the outside number to each term on the inside. My examples today only had 2 terms on the inside. Sometimes in math, you might have 3 terms on the inside you have to distribute it to. So remember, when you distribute, you use multiplication, and then don't forget to bring down your addition sign or your subtraction sign that was in your parentheses. So good luck on your practice problems.